Today, while I was having lunch, I was thinking about our ministry over the last 30, 35 years. We've been to a lot of places. We've done a lot of things. We've met a lot of wonderful people. And as I was sitting thinking back today, I guess what started my thought process was some of our friends have been on a camping adventure, and they've been showing pictures of the reflections, for example, of the lights reflecting off the lake in the evening as the sun's setting, or the reflection of the sun as it's coming up over the ocean. And I was thinking about reflections, and I began to think about, Lord, we can't be in La Paz, Indiana tonight. I can't be in Stark, Florida tonight, but I can remember and reflect on those times, whether it was in Texas or in Maine or in Washington State, or whether it was in Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, Tennessee, Virginia. I mean, go on and on. But immediately when we think of a state, we think of someone, usually some church, some body of believers that we ministered to over either a short or a long period of time. And I then began to reflect on all that God has done and the joy that gives us. I know you were looking at a devotion that talked about how work sometimes can become so boring and so tiring, and so you just lose all the joy of doing it sometimes.
But don't you wish you had the energy to do it again?
Yes, but that particular writer was saying, Lord, help me, give me the joy again. And I got to thinking, that's exactly what happened to me today around lunchtime. I began to reflect on the places we'd been, the people we'd met, the things that we've seen God do in miraculous form, not understanding that he was even using us that way until we reflect back on it now. And I just began to be very thankful. What prompted some of it as well, I've had contacts from a couple of churches recently who've asked us to come back and help them celebrate an anniversary homecoming. And that's always a delight for Sandra and I when we get an opportunity to go back. And remember that during our 18 years with the Bible Broadcasting Network, we were allowed to go into churches and supply the pulpit for them while they were looking for pastors. And that, combined with our representing BBN many, many Sundays from the pulpit, or holding a revival meeting, or speaking at a missions conference, those type things gave us an opportunity to meet an awful lot of people. And as we did, we now can sit and look back on it and say, goodness, there's a certain card that comes about once a week. It comes from Indiana. And we know without looking when it says Indiana who it's from. It reminds us of the Calvary Baptist Church in La Paz, Indiana, and the Crothers family. And we love them dearly even to this day. Haven't seen them in a number of years now, but we still get a card almost every week. Sandra and Miss Jeannie correspond. They both have been battling some of the similar illnesses and being able to talk about treatments and what's going on there. And that's been great. But as I was reflecting today, honey, I just got overwhelmed with the goodness of God and what he's done for us. I saw the beauty of his handiwork in the reflections on the water that was being shown by our friends. And then I began to think, you know what? When I think of La Paz, Indiana and Calvary Baptist Church, I see reflections, pictures come up immediately of people who were there, of people that we saw saved there, people that we ministered to there. When I think back to the Corinth Baptist Church, where we'll be in just a couple of weeks for homecoming, I remember in Union County, that little church and the membership and the dear friends that we made there. And as I reflect now on them, I can rejoice again in what God did then. And sometimes I might be sitting around not feeling too good, but boy, it sure does bring a smile to your face when you start thinking about some of those wonderful people at Antioch or Midway or Corinth or Benton's Crossroads or West Monroe or wherever it may have been, or Hillcrest in Charlotte, any of those churches that we supplied for a while.
It's a bunch of them.
A bunch of them. But all of those have reflections that when I close my eyes and think about that church, I see those things and I remember the working of the Lord. People called to the ministry, people saved, people baptized. One time they said we're going to have a baptism with all the other Baptist churches in the area, and I believe we had 9, I think, young people that were baptized that day. And what a joy that is to think back on that. And remember those boards they put down, how we were afraid we were going to slip and fall trying to get into the pond.
Mud.
In the mud, yeah. But Folks, I'm trying to share with you tonight my heart. And my heart is overjoyed with what God has allowed little old us to do. Who would have thunk it, as somebody said? Who would have believed it? But as I reflect on that, I think, Lord, I wasn't worthy of that. I didn't do anything to cause you to do that. You were so wonderful to us in that period of time, and that encourages my heart. That even, I'm getting ready to have another birthday. I'll be a year older. You just had one. You are a year older. It reminded me that it doesn't matter. As long as we're breathing breath, as long as we're living, God is going to be doing something in our hearts and lives to allow us to help others and allow us to have reflections down the road. Can you imagine? There used to be a song that said, "If I could imagine," or "Can you imagine?" Only imagine. There was another song that said, "When I get to heaven, I'm going to say thank you to certain people." The missionary who came in on a particular Sunday when God spoke to my heart through his message, or the pastor that I fell in love with and learned to visit with and have a great time anytime we sat down to talk. But God did all of that, not because we were worthy, but because we wanted to serve him. And God has blessed us and given us now memories and reflections to carry us a long way. Now, I know we haven't been feeling too good lately, but I'm going to tell you, I was on the mountaintop for a little while today, probably while you were suffering and hurting a lot. But I was reflecting on what God let us do. And I just want to share that with you tonight, folks. It's a joy to know the Lord Jesus Christ personally. It's a joy to serve him and to think back of all he's allowed us to do and all he's done in the meetings we were in and in the places we were at. What a joy. And now I want you to just jump in there and segue right on into that and tell me what you're thinking as you think back about those things. Please.
I think a lot of different things.
Mm-hmm.
I think about the fun times we had, the ladies' meetings, the conferences. Each place was different. Each group of people were different,
Mm-hmm.
but it was all the same. It was that we were all wanting to serve the Lord. We wanted to glean from his word or from the speakers or from things. And even now, I still feel the same in attending church and being a part of Sunday school and a part of preaching and, being a member that, that wants to help and do where I can, when I can. Right. But I don't know. I don't know how things could have been any different. We had our church in Georgia, Smyrna Baptist. A young lady wrote on our post, I think it was Monday, about when she heard us sing. She said, "I felt like I was
sitting on the first row at Smyrna Baptist.
Back in the church at Smyrna when they were just kids. I mean, not even maybe teenagers, just young teenagers, 13, 14, and younger even in the years we were there."
Now, I want to take what we're saying tonight and encourage you. You may feel like your life, you've been serving the Lord for a long time, and you say, "Well, I wasn't a preacher, or I wasn't a singer."
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. I want you to know God has used you in a great way to touch people's lives. Many of you have touched our lives.
That's right.
And really have helped us along when we didn't know how it was going to happen. You would show up with a smile on your face or chocolate pie in your hand and make it happen.
Do you remember Miss Thornton, Miss Gwen Thornton?
Gwen Thornton played the
She
piano.
would ring the doorbell and she would have blueberry muffins hot out of the oven.
So that's just another reflection. I can remember how it was when she would show up, or Brother Lauren Connor from
Say, "I got
Stark.
biscuits, you
And
got
say, "I got
coffee?"
biscuits, you got any coffee?" Early in the morning. But those are all pictures now that I can conjure up in my mind and reflect on what was happening in those days.
But we all can do that.
But that's what I was going to say. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. If we just
And I
stop
promise
at
you,
that time.
God's done the same thing in your life. Stop and think about it. I want to challenge you just to stop and think. Rather than dwelling on all the bad that's going on around us or how you may be feeling right now, think about God and his goodness to us over those years and be encouraged by that. I think it'll help. I really do.
When you can't get out and go, you can pray.
Right.
When you can't cook meals, you can buy somebody a meal and take to them. There's a lot of ways we can still be used.
Right.
Maybe not in the same realm as we used to.
I went back into a little Chinese restaurant today at lunch where we sat with your aunt and uncle who've both passed away now. I couldn't take them to lunch today, but boy, I sure had the reflections and the memories of those good times and so many other places that I thought about today. If we know you, I'm probably reflecting on you these days because you see, we can't go and do again as we used to do, but we can still pray. And we can still come here and try to encourage you with a video. I know it's been long today, but I hope you'll forgive us. I've just got a heart full of memories and a lot of blessings that would come our way, and we thank you for being a part of it. Hey, thanks for joining us.
What's that chorus? God is so wonderful.
God is so good.
No, God is so wonderful. I can't explain.
Do you think we could sing without forgetting the words?
I don't know.
We could do that a little bit, I know.
God is so wonderful, I can't explain, but I can say, glory, hallelujah, praise His holy name. It's wonderful because He saved me, so wonderful that He forgave me. It's wonderful, wonderful, so very wonderful, wonderful that He is mine.
God bless you. Thanks for joining us. Hope to see you next time we have encouragement with the Johnsons.
Bye.
Bye.